Brianna Shante Williams had a duty to care for her daughter Taylor, the judge told her, but she failed to do so as the 5-year-old just wasted away in Jacksonville. Then she secretly stowed the child's body in the trunk of her vehicle, buried her in a crude Alabama grave, and falsely reported her disappearance. Calling it a tragedy all round, Circuit Court Judge Kevin Blosh sentenced Williams to life in prison. Almost 6 months after entering a guilty plea to second-degree murder in Taylor Rose Williams' death, the 30-year-old former Navy Chief Petty Officer stood still, hands and feet in manacles, as the judge advised her fate. The prosecution had argued for life in prison, while Williams' public defender urged a minimum 20.5 years during the sentencing hearing. Blosh told Williams he had spent the weekend poring over the evidence he heard and was presented. It included her unstable family life with claims of abuse and records showing Taylor's death was in all probability the consequence of starvation, he said. The victim was not valued from the time of conception by either her father or mother, the judge said. Her mother suffered from an eating disorder. The father complained that the victim was not being properly fed. The defendant then removed the victim from child care about 4 months prior to the victim's death. Taylor remained home alone and unprovided for throughout that time period. Williams, November 6, 2019, claimed that Taylor was missing from their Ivy Street home prompted a huge neighborhood search that soon expanded to her old apartment as an Amber Alert was issued. Some people told police they had not seen Taylor in weeks, as then Sheriff Mike Williams could not confirm the last time she was seen alive. He said that while the mother initially cooperated in the investigation, she stopped after being confronted with some discrepancies in her story. A multi-state search ensued before ending on November 12 when investigators found the child's remains about 4 miles outside of Demopolis, Iowa, near where Williams grew up, authorities said. Williams was absentee-booked that day while hospitalized due to an attempt to unalive herself when she learned her daughter's body had been found, police said. Her arrest warrant stated she did willfully torture, maliciously punish, or willfully cage a child. New details in the case were released in court records, a 22-page list of witness interviews, and thousands of photos, videos, documents, and records. Although she was initially charged with child neglect and abuse, she pleaded guilty to second-degree unaliving. That resulted in a 3-day sentencing hearing, with 100-plus pieces of evidence referred and testimony from multiple people who knew her. Detectives talked about finding children's clothing in a bedroom carpet stained with feces at their apartment, her car reeking of decomposition, in the home on Ivy Street that did not look like a child was living there. Investigators also procured Williams' cell phone records to track her movements, showing she made 3 trips to Alabama, the third to Demopolis, tracing her to just about where the body was ultimately found. Neighbors testified about smelling something bad coming from the young woman's storage closet, and the child often spotted wandering and attended looking for her mother. A psychologist described his evaluations of Williams being anxious and depressed, certainly showing some schizophrenia and mood disorders. She said she didn't know what to do when she couldn't find Taylor one day and discovered her cold and unresponsive in a closet. She wanted to bury her next to her grandfather. Then Williams quietly told the judge she was too scared, nervous to read her final statement to him on Friday, so a member of the public defender's office did. In it, Williams said she knows what she did was wrong, admitting that she lied and lied some more about what happened. "I failed as a mother, a protector, and as a decent human being," the statement read, "and I didn't take advantage of any timely opportunity to right my wrongs. I apologize to everyone affected by this tragedy. I am punished every day since losing my baby." The judge said he reread much of the evidence over the past few days. That included Williams' school and Navy records, clinical psychological reports, and Taylor's autopsy, as well as evidence of what she did after the death and the desecration of the body afterward. While he found her lack of a past criminal record unusual and her Navy background outstanding, Blosh said there were many other unresolved issues. Regarding the psychological issues, the court has taken all that testimony into consideration, he said. The judge pointed to a lot of evidence that showed no food in Williams' Ivy Street home or the Southside apartment in the months leading up to Taylor's death. There was no significant purchase of groceries during that time period, Blosh said, noting Taylor also appeared small in evidence photos, apparently losing weight. Once Williams discovered her dead, the defendant failed to report the death of her daughter, he said. She then lied to law enforcement repeatedly over the course of investigation in order to conceal what she had done, which was to transport the body out of state and dispose of the body, which this court construes as the consciousness of guilt. Finally, an analysis of the child's bones showed evidence of malnutrition, but no one will ever know for sure because the defendant disposed of the body in such a way that it prevented the analysis. The T would result in an expert opinion, Blosh said. In sentencing Williams to life, "I wanted to ensure that the community is protected and that the decision is rendered in a way that does not dishonor the death of Taylor Rose," the judge said. Williams was credited with 1,043 days' time served awaiting sentencing. Brianna Williams' elaborate lies initially concealed her terrible crime in them, a living of her innocent daughter, said State Attorney Melissa Nelson. The work by law enforcement and prosecutors brought the truth to light, and, ultimately, justice was served for Taylor.